Good morning and welcome back to White Mountains Today here at White Mountain TV 16. Joining us in the studio is Clare Long, and Clare is going to talk about the horrors of nature.
Dun, dun, dun!
Usually you have to deep dive on YouTube to find out some of this information, and it's fitting for Halloween.
Yes,
and,
yes.
And you know, but nature has many. Nature has many beautiful things.
There,
too.
and I will talk about the beautiful things of the horrible things.
But you know, the
yes.
thing is, it's all, you know, it's kind of like, why would they ever, you know, why would these creatures ever do it? But it's fascinating because it's survival. And
recycling of nutrients, it's all part of the
right.
all part
it's
of the cycle of life.
Exactly.
The circle of life.
So let's delve right in. I've got my candy corn, so
you
I
got
can
your
sit
candy
here
corn.
and munch.
Eat
while
in layers. Remember we said you have to eat
while
in layers.
While you talk, I can. And if it's scary, I can go no.
Just don't spit it up or anything
right.
when you see some of the scarier things. So the first slide that I have is this animal is the one that we are most taught to fear. So we have an innate fear of, well, what's the animal that you're most afraid of?
Well, I know you were going to say spiders.
Yeah, because you saw the spider.
Well, no, because spiders but it is. It's, you know, especially as a kid, I was terrified of spiders. And I'm sorry, something like that, if that's in my house, I'm going to be freaked out. But, you know, I know all the great things spiders do. You know,
yes.
Catching all the other insects and stuff. I mean, if spiders suddenly disappeared,
we would be in big trouble, not just because
trouble.
they wind up eating insects, but also because some of the things that we're learning from them, they do maintain the balance
right.
of the thing. Plus also, that spider there is a tarantula, and there's actually a wasp that will lay an egg on the top of it. And like the movie Alien, it lives through, the larva will eat the spider alive while it's moving and actually turn it into a zombie. So then it will protect the young as it kind of comes out into a larva stage right onto the ground, and it'll spin a web around it to protect it. It's just amazing. But those things also, they're finding that by milking some of these venomous or poisonous spiders, they're able to reduce pain levels because it's kind of a numbing agent that they put in there. So using some of the chemicals during that from the spider venom during surgeries. Or when there are people who have chronic pain, they have taken some of the makeup of the chemical of the tarantula spider and have made pain relievers.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, you know.
It's way cool.
And I mean, that's why we have to preserve nature.
Yes, right. Because, you know, as I think it was Thoreau or you or one of them had said, you know, everything is connected to everything else, and you take out one piece and the system will eventually fall apart. Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right, so we've started with spiders.
So the we'll get back to the spiders, don't worry.
I'm sure
because
we will.
That's the thing that we're taught to not like, to be afraid of.
That's true.
Snakes, we have an innate ability, an innate fear. When you see a snake, when you show a snake to a kid, they generally, not all kids,
right?
You know, what's his name, Honold or whatever, the one, the climber who his amygdala is about the size of a pea. You know, the one that decides whether you're going to be afraid of it or not, or if you have to run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little brain. All right, wait, too much. Go back, Matt. Next picture. So this is called the bombardier beetle, and what this animal does is it's a beetle. And when you are bothering it, it will actually spray acid at you from its hind area there.
Now define acid.
Okay, so pretty much this says, there is hydrogen peroxide and hydroquinone in one chamber, and on the other side it's kind of a gas. And when the beetle squeezes that sphincter muscle down at the bottom there, it transfers, those two green chambers, it transfers the hydroquinone into the hydrogen peroxide, and it heats up inside that chamber. And you can see it explodes at 212 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So it's an acid. And, it's technically, if you get it on your skin, it's not going to burn you like an acid would burn through it, but it will burn. And you'll get like a second-degree burn from that thing. Yes, and we have those here. There's here. They're here. Not right now. Oh, where? Eat a candy corn. But yeah, so we have those here, and they are what they are doing is they're taking that system of the two chambers, and they're finding ways of transporting vaccines. because right now, like say with the COVID vaccines and things, you got to keep it cold.
Right.
But by trying to find ways to transport it and then have an ejector like that sphincter muscle, and then the way that the animal heats it up, it just heats it up by its body source.
That's amazing.
Then
212 degrees, that's a lot.
That's hot. That's
now,
boiling water.
I imagine if you were another bug, then it might do more damage to you
Yes.
than to us.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
a little
yes.
more durable than
Right.
something
Especially
else.
getting in the eyes or in some of the sensitive areas on the insects that might, or other
Yeah.
animals that might want to go eat it, like a mouse or something else that might want to go eat the
Wow.
bombardier. Yeah, they're also using it to find different ways to inject medicine into people because of the bombardier beetle can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off 10 different times. So it just doesn't let it all go. It'll be like, shh, get out of my way, shh, get out of my way, shh, get out of my way. So they're finding different ways of using that in medicine, for
Amazing.
medicine dispensing.
Yeah.
So it's way cool. Okay, so the next one. So that's cool. So it's cool, but it's really horrible because in the movie Alien, a lot of this is, they use this in the movie Alien. Remember, the alien's blood was all acid.
Right,
Yeah, so
right.
it would. Yeah. So that is the idea for that part of the alien. Okay, so the next one we have. Oh, don't you love those leeches? You gotta love leeches. Actually, and back in the 16th century, they were using, everybody had medicinal leeches.
Yeah.
Because so this woman actually has a headache, and this is what they're doing in some of the European countries, is they're still using medicinal leeches to reduce the pressure, because what it'll do is leeches are sucking blood.
Right.
And they have actually, Mercedes-Benz probably won't like this, but it's a kind of a Mercedes-Benz scar you can see off on the left.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah.
they have 3 jaws that come down, and then they inject an anticoagulant and something that kind of a nerve agent that deadens the nerve. So you don't know it's biting you. You don't know it's sucking the blood. And it can suck up to, and it can make itself up to 40 times its normal size. You see the one right there in
Yeah,
the
I
middle
can
of the
see.
thing? Yeah. Most people don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
But they're finding that they're still using them, especially in places where you're having things
Swelling
like
and
fingers.
stuff, right?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
you try to reattach a finger or reattach an arm or some other kind of appendage. The blood flow is important to keep it going and to keep the body from not rejecting it. So by putting a leech on those things, it helps draw the blood through.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to be sedated for that entire
Oh yeah,
time.
don't be bringing me a leech.
Well, my fear of leeches, I guess, came from watching The African Queen.
Oh,
the
yes!
Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn movie. And I just...
Yeah. I forget what his line was about them, but they mentioned that
Yeah.
that the reason that leeches became unpopular was a lot because of the African Queen
that's so
movie.
funny.
Yes, so fun. So so that's really cool. It actually has 32 brains and 10 hearts, I think, is what.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and what they're looking at, other than from a medicinal standpoint, is the suckers can suck onto any surface. So it can suck onto glass. It can suck onto these. So they're taking a look at how the suckers how it actually brings itself down onto and holds itself onto the medium that it's there.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. They're cool. I mean, okay, they're gross, but they're cool.
Yeah.
So the next one we have is, let me see what comes up. I'm trying to remember. Hold on.
Matthew's trying to find it.
He got it. The next one is, I think, this is the solitary wasp. This is the one, and he's laying an egg inside that caterpillar, actually laying lots of eggs. And this is the main idea in Alien, where the alien plants the egg inside of you. Right. So this is what this thing is doing. It's laying its eggs into the caterpillar. So if you go to the next picture, what'll happen is then they hatch out. This is a tomato. Actually, it's a potato hornworm, and because you can tell by the red horn. And what happened was a solitary wasp, a brachycnid wasp, laid its eggs inside of it, and you can see there's a little black hole in some of those things. And what these are actually the cocoons of the eggs that have hatched out into larvae. So this thing is being eaten alive, basically, and is still alive and still carrying them around, and it's now a zombie. It's another zombie. And once these things hatch, and they will come out they'll fall down onto the leaf, this caterpillar will start spinning a web around them to protect the things that have just eaten it alive.
Wow.
And eventually, and if it lives through all of this, it will protect them. It's like a zombie protector.
Do you have any pictures of like butterflies and bunnies?
This is the horrors. Come on, the horrors of nature. All right, the next one. I think I just have another picture of the. Oh, the ant. Oh, okay. Oh, the ant. Oh, this is amazing. Talk about zombie. These are zombie ants. These are cordyceps. And a cordyceps. And it was awesome because I walked in and Matthew knew exactly what we were talking about with the cordyceps. It's a fungus. And what the fungus does is it gets inside of the ant and it drives the ant to go up as high as it can and then bite onto something. So take its mandible and just hold on tight.
Yeah.
And then that thing that's sticking out of its head is a fungus. And what it does is it grows right out of it, and it's waiting for the wind. So because fungus spreads by spores.
Right.
So by going high, it'll get the spores out, and so then it will infect other ants. This thing goes by.
It's fascinating. It's horrible.
Yes.
But it's fascinating.
Yes, it's way cool. And they're zombies. They're alive, but this fungus grows out of them. And their job is just to hold on to the while that fungus spreads its things. Yeah. Horrible. Okay, next.
There's more?
Oh, and with that one, with the cordyceps, they're trying to find out with the fungus how it's not how the fungus is working its way through the ant, but it's not killing it. So they're trying to see how the fungus, from a mind control standpoint, is not killing it, but keeping it alive. So from a chemical standpoint, they're trying to figure out how it does it. Okay, so then the next is the moray eel, and we don't really have a lot of moray eels up here, but this is way cool because from the whole Alien movie again.
Right.
So it's the green moray eels, especially. That's kind of a fungus on the outside of it. It's kind of like a green slime mold, so they're really kind of hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
not that I would try.
Not that you would try, because if you did and they bit you, they have razor sharp teeth. And so if you go to the next picture, Matthew, but the bigger thing, other than the razor sharp teeth and the slimy moldy stuff, you can see there's a second jaw on the inside. So you can see there's the big jaws on the outside, and just near the head of the fish right there's the second jaw, and it's called a pharynx jaw. And what it does is the fish, what'll happen is fish will open their mouth to get a change in pressure. So it'll draw the fish closer to them so they can bite, so they can eat the fish. Well, because they live more into the tunnely things, the moray eel can't use that change in pressure. So it'll hold on with its teeth, but it needs somehow to draw the rest of the fish into the body.
Yeah.
So the second jaw comes up and grabs and drags the fish into the body. So they use that also on Alien. Moving on. But that's way cool. So what they're doing, being like biomimicry, which is mimicking nature, which is the coolest thing, they're taking that example of a second set of something. So if you're reaching out for something, or if you're creating something, you have to have something that stabilizes it.
Right.
And then another that's just as potent, but has a different role to pull it back in. So they're using that a lot in manufacturing. Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
Okay, moving next. There's only a couple more. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yes, this is way cool. If you can make that bigger. Spiders. What they've done is their webs, in order to birds to not run into the spider webs. You're
And
thinking
ruin
like,
them.
they have a UV light on it. So if you were to go out at night with a UV light, you'd be able to find these spider webs, because they build in this UV lighting into. It's this part of this chemical thing that they build into the web when they make it.
But birds can see it?
But birds can see it. Wow. Right. And there are some other insects that
Let's
can't.
be impressed by the fact that birds can see it.
Yes. So this is interesting, because what they've done is they've taken that UV part of the web and they put it into windows. So birds can see the UV lighting in it.
Oh, interesting.
So what we see is on the left, but what birds see, they see on the right.
So they don't fly into your window.
Fly into windows. Right, exactly.
See?
So people don't like the webs because they're gross and they feel gross. But actually, it has a property that we're using.
I think we got time for one more.
Okay, one more. All right.
My heart only has time for one
I know.
more.
All right, one more. I think I can't. Oh, it's got to be the bats. I think we're up to the bats.
Oh, I like bats. Bats are
Yeah, let's do the bats.
Bats are cool. You
I forgot what else I
there's
had
another one that you're taught to be afraid of.
Right.
But bats are like, well, we were talking about Gilligan's Island. I think there's like 2 or 3 episodes that involve bats, a vampire bat.
Yes,
getting, they always the whole thing that they're going to get in your hair or whatever. It's like bats don't get in your hair.
Right,
it's very
right.
Rare.
The whole echolocation,
Yeah,
and they have and the ability of their wings to be able to turn and change. They're fabulous.
Yeah. The only way, if you like maybe if you had one of those, big B-52 haircuts, hairdos or something.
And there were bugs about halfway through
right.
it.
Yeah.
So the picture that you just had up was something called the flying fox. So they're not up here; they're down in Indonesia and some of these other areas, and they're very large. And they think this is where the whole idea for Dracula came from.
Yeah.
Because they're very, very large. The ones that we have are about that size. That's a little brown bat.
Yeah.
So they're much, much, much smaller. And one of the things that they're finding with bats, yes, the bats have this ability. That's a vampire bat. That's the one that does actually drink the blood. Ours up here eat mosquitoes, but that's the one that drinks the blood. And they're finding that in some other places, people are actually drinking the blood from the vampire bat because of the coagulants in them.
Yeah.
And then actually it's helping with things like heart disease and some of these other areas. So it's really kind of bizarre.
It's amazing. I mean, so we're talking about the horrors of nature.
Yes.
But the fact that all of this stuff and the fact that we're able to, take this and create, improve life
Yes.
is amazing. And, these animals have done, I always laugh about the whole fact that, we humans have been on Earth for, 200,000 years. Like the dinosaurs were here for 65 million years.
Right.
And you think about the evolution that would happen
Yes.
in 65 million years. And you
Yes.
think about all of these creatures and what they had to survive. I mean,
Right.
the whole Darwin, the whole thing.
Right.
Why do certain dogs, have little black dots right here? Because they're, disguised as eyes, because there's a reason for that. And,
Right. Right. And anything that didn't work is a fossil.
Right,
So
exactly.
everything that we have, everything that's alive today, or anything that's around, works.
Right.
So when we do things like we try to force things to work, when we make chemicals or when we make things, it's not supposed to work, and it's not supposed to be part of the normal functioning process of the circle of life. Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's way
Claire,
cool.
as always, thank you for being here. Next time we're going to talk about bunnies.
Yes, we're going to do
Maybe
unicorns and rainbows.
Snowshoe hares and winter fun animals. So,
Yes, yes.
But thank you so much for coming by.
Well, thanks for letting me
for
talk.
not letting me sleep for the next week. So it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thanks.
All right.
Thank you. That was
And
great.
we'll be back here in a minute on White Mountains Today.